Today? Yes. Yeah, that's good. So look at everyone around you. Do they look ready as well? Yeah. Yeah. I think you look sharp. You look ready to learn a lot today. We have a great program in front of us, and to start the whole thing, I will ask Sune Nordentoft-Lauritsen, who is also the head of ESA BIC. Give him a hand. All right, everybody. So welcome to Launchpad 2020 Demo Day. Welcome to our investors in the front row. They will be introduced in a short while. Welcome to all the participants and all the guests we have here at DTU Skylab. And also welcome to all the viewers we have online on YouTube right now. So all of the pictures will be broadcasted on YouTube during the next couple of hours. So Launchpad 2020 is the pre-incubation program for the European Space Agency Business Incubation Center Denmark. So this is our attempt to help develop and form new startups which can utilize space technology, satellite data for a number of different applications. And during the last 12 days, we've had around 35 to 40 participants going through the program. And it's fair to say that it has been an experience of the roller coaster life of an entrepreneur. So not only one, but 12 days in a row. So it has been a strenuous program, it has been an exhausting program, and also hopefully a rewarding program at the end. So Launchpad is all about building a new generation of space startups, working with the very early stage of taking an idea, taking people, taking technology and bringing them together in a sort of reaction chamber, and then hopefully stuff happens. And we see that during the last 12 days, stuff has happened, and we are very happy to see how far you progressed. And many of you have really made a substantial business case for your startup. So we got already yesterday very positive feedback on many of the cases from other investors that could see potential in your cases. So what is happening right now is that, and this is also something we see here in the group of startups that we work with in the Launchpad program, is that space is opening up. Space is becoming an enabling technology, a technology which enables radical new applications for users across a number of sectors. So what you will see today is exactly that. A number of startups which takes satellite data, satellite applications, satellite systems, and turn them into value for different sectors. This is what the majority of the pitches will be about today. I want to thank our sponsors for making not only ESA BIC Denmark possible, but also specifically the Launchpad program. Yeah, let's give them a hand, please. And I think with that brief introduction, I would like to say let the pitching, well, not right now, but let the pitching begin a little later. Okay, all right. Thank you, Sune. Thank you. All right. So I will be your facilitator today. So I will be your friend and guide you all through the program. I want this to be a safe space because the best place to learn and to grow is a place where we feel a little safe and relaxed. So before we start, I like to just give a chance for you to get introduced to each other. So first you have to imagine one thing. Imagine that you are put on the first spaceship going to Mars to be inhabited in the first colony on Mars ever. So when you will go and live on Mars and you will never come back. So what is the one personal thing you would bring with you? What is the one personal thing you would bring with you? Think of that. Personally, I would bring my Xbox, but now I want you to turn to someone next to you and say hi, say your name, and tell them what is the thing you would bring to Mars.
Jeg skal lige snakke med Claudia først. Hello, Claudia. Are you hearing everything okay?
Yeah, hearing everything great.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, any examples? What would you bring? What would you bring? We have an example there? No. What would you bring?
I would bring like a poster I have hanging over my bed at home because I always have that poster.
A poster, yeah?
Yeah, it actually means a lot to me. So.
Okay. Can I ask what's on that poster?
Yeah, actually it's a gorilla.
A gorilla?
Yeah. So I had it over my bed when I was a kid, and I actually still have it.
Okay.
So I think,
So it will be the first gorilla poster on Mars, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. And we have one more example here.
I would bring my guitar because as a civilization we also need entertainment, we need philosophy, we need words, we need art.
Yeah. So you'll be the first rock star on Mars. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so one more thing. We also need some energy. We need some energy to launch this whole thing, but also for you to get on stage and do your pitches. And I know that Kiara, it's your birthday today, right? Yeah. I think that would be a great way to generate some energy by saying hooray to Kiara 3 times. But of course we have to do it the space way. So if you have to say hooray in space, probably you would have something in front of your face to breathe through. So can you put your hands like this? Yeah? And you can try to do a little bit of breathing. Okay, I will count to 3 and we will all do 3 hoorays in our breathing device here. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Hooray! 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 Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So let's get into it. But just to explain a little bit, the pitching competition, for the competition we have 4 prizes.
And the first one is 24,000 DK. I'm a little bit disappointed. I would have expected it would be Starbucks, but bad joke. I looked on the internet before I did this. This was my preparation for bad space jokes, so there will be a few of them. Then second prize will be 10,000. Oh, sorry, third prize or something. And second prize, 15,000. And then we have the special prize, which is the most creative idea, which Søren Hansen from Aalborg University, who was also here facilitating in ideation, he will be the one pointing out that idea. So this is what we are trying to look for. But I think on a personal level, you should all look for learning, because this will not be the first pitch you will be doing. Personally, I think I've done about 1,000 pitches in my life. And the first 500 were really bad. When I reached about 600, it started to get better. And now it's getting a little bit better. So now you're just on your journey of doing pitches for the rest of your life. So try to look at it like that. Okay. So we have, can we see the program up here? No? Okay. So then I have the program here. But before we start with the first pitch, I think we should introduce our jury. And we have 3 present in the room, and we have 2 online. And first, I would invite you from the jury to, when I present you, to stand up and maybe take a look in the other direction, so you can see how friendly you look. So Niels Weiber Carlsen, yeah. Niels is a partner at Seed Capital. Partner at Seed Capital, and then we have Alexander Widerbo Horten. Alexander is investment manager and pre-seed at Pre-Seed Capital. And then we have Hampus Jakobsen, who is general partner at Pale Blue Dot. So I realized that we are almost in family, so that's good. And then on Zoom, we have Claudia Menzel. We cannot see her, or we can see it here. Hi, Claudia.
Hi.
She's a program director at Seraphim Space Camp. I hope I got that right. Yeah? She nods. She looks really friendly too. And then we have Søren Hansen, whom you all met. I don't know where he is.
He's watching the live stream.
He's watching. Hi, Søren. I don't know where you are. Somewhere. He's from Kreativitetsakademiet, teacher in creativity and entrepreneurship at Aalborg University. All right. So, we have to get the first team ready, which is Altus Monitoring Solutions. So can you please get up here and get ready? Oh, you're already here? Okay. So this is how we're going to work. You will have 15 minutes altogether, 5 minutes for your pitch. And then we have 10 minutes for questions from the jury. And then we move on with the next team. And I think we start out with 3 pitches, and then we have a short break. And then we have the rest of the pitches. And then we have lunch, yeah. Another bad joke, yeah, you got it. So let's give a hand to Altus Monitoring Solutions.
So this is the team that you see here on the slide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Slide number 8.
So what happened to the rest of your team?
They're down there.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
we're collaborating.
Yeah.
You have to be the guinea pig testing the system. It's always horrible.
All right. Windows, you know.
We can get to space, but we can't get PowerPoint.
True.
Yeah, we'll be ready in a
So I'm Eric, and we are Altus Monitoring Solutions, and we are de-risking agriculture insurance. So if you're a Dane, you remember the summer of 2018, where we started with flooding and followed by enormous droughts. And in that year, the Danish farmers lost approximately 40% of their crops to the bad weather. In response to this, they pushed for agriculture insurance to protect their crops. So there are some insurance companies now offering agriculture insurance in Denmark, and they have some problems. Firstly, it's a brand new market in Denmark. It's only since 2018, and they are trying to use the analysis that they use for other insurance for agriculture insurance. And there is no solutions established. They want the solutions, but they don't know how to do it yet. So we are going to provide them the solutions using Earth observation, satellite analysis, and geodata. We have three kind of general categories of the solutions that we offer. Firstly, on a local scale, we offer satellite analysis for damage assessment, claims verification. So for flooding or crops falling over or drought, we can tell them how much a claim is going to be and do that very quick. Now the process is very long and very expensive, and we can do it very quickly and very cheaply. That's good. Secondly, we have regional risk mapping. The insurance companies right now have no regional context when they're setting the price of their policies. That's crazy. So when they look at a policy, it's always the same no matter where it is, no matter what the history of that area is, specifically or regionally. We can provide this risk analysis to set smart policies for regional context. And then thirdly, these same regional analyses can help the insurance companies attract new clients in new areas where they are in need the most of policies. So, in the Danish market, we have two players, at.Denmark and Untitled. I apologize for my Danish pronunciation. They control almost all of the market. And in a more macro context, we're looking at climate change that is forcing other countries to consider these agriculture insurance policies. 2018 is not an anomaly. It's going to be more and more common. And so there's a market expansion coming from the farmers wanting access to agriculture insurance. So this is a growing market. So what are our solutions? Firstly, we can look very immediate this year. What can we do now? We have two things that we can immediately start doing. We can start doing those local claims verifications, and we can standardize the documents that the insurance companies are receiving. Right now, the process is slow, expensive, and unstandardized. We can provide both of those things. Moving forward, we can start doing those regional analysis, the risk mapping, and providing them smart policies from historical data, from time series analysis. And this risk assessment for them, for getting new customers, and providing better rates for their current customers. Finally, looking ahead into the future, we have predictive algorithms and big data. This is the holy grail of insurance, to predict where the next insurance claims are going to be, where the next damage is going to happen. And these areas are where we really want to work with reinsurance companies. So this is one step ahead or above the insurance market. These are people who take on the risk of multiple insurance companies and who have a vested benefit from all of their subsidiary companies also lowering their risk on a regional and local scale. So the clients that we are going to work with in Denmark are at.Denmark, and we have our second business meeting with at.Denmark in September, and Gensida, who have had a wonderful reaction to the services that we can provide them. There's something that I want to note here. These companies do not want to do this analysis in-house. They want to outsource it to a company like us. Similarly, we have software partners. We are in contact with both Esri and Pix4D, who provide the software for these kind of analysis, but they are strictly software companies. So they do not want to do the analysis and work with the insurance companies. That is our position in the market. Our team, we have me, satellite image and Earth observation is my bread and butter. We have Gonzalo, engineering, technical, Kai, sales, forward-facing, Sarah, business strategy. So one of the most important things for our company is to define our core value. what are we giving to these companies that's just beyond giving them a software for them to use? We are co-developing this analysis with the insurance companies so that they don't have to do it in-house, but they do get the results that we can provide. And we have system independence so that, they don't have to deal with it in-house, and they get the benefit of lowering costs and a better solution. So, we are Altus, and we are de-risking agro-insurance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for a great pitch. Well done. So if you move forward here a bit, then we have time for some questions from the jury. And yeah.
Yeah. So great pitch. Well done. And seems like you come a long way. So very nicely done. How's the market across Europe looking? Do you know? So there's Denmark forward moving, or and who else is kind of like providing this service?
It depends on where you're looking. In Eastern Europe, it's a little bit more forward along. And what we're looking at is a policy called the Common Agricultural Policy, which is an EU initiative to establish common agricultural practices across all of the EU countries, which would result in agriculture insurance being the standard across all of Europe. So some countries are behind Denmark, some countries are ahead, but we're hoping that it's going to be pushed in a general European context.
It's important to say, I think, that in Denmark, the first crop insurance was established in 2019. It's a very new market.
Okay, and in the other countries, are they using the same kind of data to do the analysis?
No, not that we found.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions? Yeah, Nils?
Have you considered, I mean, right now, insurance companies are slow moving and difficult to work with, and they're relatively few in number, but of course interesting. But have you considered whether there could also be, instead of just the reactive and risk assessment, be something that you can offer to the agricultural entities or farmers themselves, so that you could basically have sort of both sides of the equation, so that they could get something, maybe be proactive and better dealing with certain situations, and while still working on risk assessment for
one of the reasons that we focused on risk assessment for the insurance companies is that the market for ag tech is farmer pointed. And so these kind of analyses, the great thing is that the software is there already and the analyses are there already, but they're being pointed towards farmers for them to do exactly that. And so we wanted to find a slightly different direction. But hopefully, in providing these solutions for the agriculture insurance companies, these things are going to be passed on to the farmer and they're going to receive the benefits.
And there are definitely preventive measures that you can take once we provide this data, and we have the data available, and we do have sort of historical data to prove what is relatively likely going to happen, which can be used to make things within agriculture.
Thank you. Hampus?
Do you understand, like, product-wise, because you're buying satellite imagery, I guess, from the big providers, and then you're using different software, Esri, P4D, to do software analysis, and then what steps are you doing? And then when you're actually talking to an insurance company, how much are you a product company and how much is it rather bespoke? How much are you doing like quote-unquote professional services? So can you describe like what your quote-unquote product is, and then like how it looks for your customer, what they're quote-unquote getting, product or services?
So much of the analysis can be done on free satellite imagery from Sentinel and NASA stuff as well. But we would like to partner with some of the big high-resolution stuff. And the product is really, when I talk about co-development, we want to find, with each insurance company, their system. How is their system working for that company? And then tailor our products for them. So the analysis might be the same, but the product that we're delivering to them might be a little bit different, depending on the way that they handle claims or the type of payouts that they make. So for example, document standardization, they might have different requirements one place or another, but we can say generally document standardization is something that we can provide to them.
So just so I get paid back to that's why my question on bespoke versus product, because it feels like what you're saying is like you're very bespoke, you're like the glue between, like you get satellite imagery, then you're using existing other software providers or even open source in some cases, and then you're going to be the glue between their kind of SAP, homegrown shit solution, whatever you're going to do, and that data. That's where you're going to die.
Yeah, especially in the beginning.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where do you see moving forward? Like, where do you want to go? You feel like...
So going forward is definitely the risk assessment stuff is a little bit more in-house, created by us. Mm-hmm. And definitely the big data processing in the future is something that we are making, not necessarily as a software solution, but a little bit
a little bit less of that glue that you were talking about and a little bit more of something that we have created, not something that we are synthesizing from different areas. And that's kind of the general trend that we're trying to look at, starting here and moving towards that.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Other question? We are mucking around with some mics here because the sound, and I'm sorry, it's probably hard for you guys down there to listen, but if we're going to repeat everything, it's going to be a little bit hard. So you can also contemplate and think about your own presentation coming up next. So, Nils.
Could you put a few more words on your team? Why you think you're going to win?
Yeah. So you want to start with what you do and your background?
Sure thing. My name is Kai. I have an engineering background and I studied Chaos Pilot, which means generally project management, people management.
And in this 2 weeks, you've been focusing on sales, contacting, forward-facing stuff.
I have called approximately 40 people, I would say.
Okay. Have you worked in other companies?
I've been working in other companies, yeah. Retail.
And my background is in satellite data analysis, remote sensing, and GIS. And I've worked professionally for government institutions in Canada and as well academically. So really the technical analysis side of stuff, which is where this idea came from, the technical and where can we apply it to. That's my background, hopefully doing a lot of the analysis.
Yeah, and my name is Gonzalo. I come from Mexico, and I'm currently finishing my bachelor in mechatronics in Sunevo. I am part of the embedded systems program, so mostly I think I will be working towards this algorithm, start in the early stages and see how this analysis of the data has been provided and how can it be tailored to the future.
I'm Sarah. I'm a PhD management engineering with focus on innovation. My master is also in business with focus on startups. I had 2 startups before, and I was a mentor for a space startup also.
Okay, thank you. I also have Claudia. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. So, no, okay, you're fine. So, Alexander?
I was just thinking, what do you see within the next half a year as the kind of like main roadblock where you think, oh, if we accomplish this, you know, we're on a roll?
We're hoping to work with the insurance companies that we've spoken to with pilot programs and these tests. And I think scope is very important. That is our roadblock, is whether we not promise too much, but if we try to go in 6 different directions at once, try to do all of these things at once, I think that we might get tripped up by where we need to get the data from, what data we need, how we're going to synthesize it, what are we going to do the analysis on, things like that. So I think that the next 6 months is focusing on those first steps and taking it step by step, knowing exactly what we need to do day to day, week to week, month to month. Yeah.
Ambos?
I don't really understand why you're working with Danish insurers. Like, I mean, the world is flat, in a way. So, like, why are you talking to 2 insurers? Like, why are you not talking to 600 insurers and see who's the easiest to move?
Firstly, because we have the timing here. So because it's so new and it's local, we can jump on the bandwagon of this agriculture insurance when it's only a year old in the case of Top Denmark and still in the process of being rolled out in Gensela. So
what is new?
Crop insurance in Denmark.
Yeah, but like there are, what are there, 300 something countries, 400 countries in the world. There must be at least other like 60 countries where this is like top of mind.
Yeah.
And I mean, Denmark is pretty far north on the globe as well. So like if you go to Bangladesh, I mean, then of course flooding might be the issue there, but it's like then of course it's highly top of mind in Bangladesh and Vietnam.
And it's obvious from seeing analysis of where crop insurance is offered at this point in time globally, that the further from the risk you get, the less crop insurance is available.
But also, like when you get to the other side, when you get absurd risks, then I mean the insurers will be like, no, we're thinking about it. So I mean, have you talked to other quote-unquote countries?
We've been looking into it. I don't think we've been talking to anyone as such, but India, for instance, which I guess is in the same realm that you're mentioning here, has a whole lot of crop insurance going on.
Yeah. And we're planning on going to the Agriculture Insurance Conference, which is kind of the general meeting area of all of these countries, and hoping to get contacts there for market expansion, geographically speaking.
But would you start with Denmark, or would you start with BIC quickly? That's probably my question.
So that's kind of like a scalability question, I think. So Denmark is good. There's 2 players. We can contact them easily. They have been wonderful to work with so far in contacting them and talking to them. And so it's the timing, it's the location. I mean, we're here in Denmark, so we thought it was a good idea to start in Denmark. We know that it's a small country. We know that it's not the end goal, but then it's scalability from once we've proven that we can provide these solutions with these companies, then we move quickly out geographically speaking, market-wise, and then up into reinsurance.
I think it will die the bureaucracy then. If I were you, I would contact 58 insurers and I would do the one who's most agile, most swift, get something rolling. And if they happen to be in Mexico, Canada, Denmark, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any more time, so thank you so much. All right, I think we are ready for another pitch, and this time it is Pinpoint, and that's you guys. So give Pinpoint a hand.
Now we cannot see the screens, but so anyways, I'm Ole, and we are Pinpoint, the future of tracking. So we spotted a big potential in the maritime shipping market. There's a lot of room there for optimization through implementing new technologies. So we contacted my uncle, who's a chief engineer at Maersk and been working there for 35 years on the biggest Maersk ships. So he was telling us about what kind of problems they're running into basically on everyday when they're on the ships and in the harbors and stuff. And he told us about that they are still using the manual tracking. This creates some problems for them for keeping track of all their containers. So Maersk alone has 4 million containers, which is quite a lot. But every year there is 780 million transits of containers going around the world. So there's a lot to keep track of. So anyways, if the harbor is normally placing the container on the ship, so you would think that Waldo should be here, right? But what if Waldo is not there? Which meaning, if the container is not there, where is it then? Well, they'll have to find it. So they'll start by searching around the ship. So is it actually on the ship, or didn't it arrive yet? Or what happened with this container? Was it just mixed up with another one? So anyway, that will take a long time, and then they'll try to figure out, is it on the harbor? Is it somewhere out in the desert on some truck? Or where is it actually? And this is where we come in. Because with Pinpoint, we'll be able to find it immediately in just a few seconds. So we'll be able to spot it, and they can get it on the ship before the ship leaves. This will save them a lot of logistics, time, and not trying to reroute containers. So how do we do this? So we were talking with DTU Space about what projects they've been doing with some GPS tracking or something. And we found out that some years back, they were making some systems, GPS systems, where they were tracking birds. So these trackers are very small, and they need to be very energy efficient. So what the technology here is doing that we are adapting into, that we want to use on the containers, is that it's kind of a reverse GPS tracking system. So normally a GPS tracker, you would need a lot of power on it, battery, because it needs to constantly send a signal up saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And that will drain the battery. It will also create a lot of problems that you have to recharge it all the time. So what our system is doing here is instead that the satellite says, okay, now I want to know where this container is because it's lost. So you'll be able to pinpoint the container, and the tracker will actually only be activated in that time that you need it. So you'll save a lot of cost on the technology itself, because you can build it much smaller, and also on the satellite data itself. You only need a few seconds to send the signal that I'm here. So of course, our business model is business to business, mostly focusing on the big maritime shipping companies like Maersk. And of course, to prove that this works and how much they can actually benefit from implementing this system, we want to give them first some prototypes that they can see, and they can optimize the logistics around that and see how much it actually will help them. So after that, our plan is to implement this as a leasing plan. So basically, instead of them buying the trackers from us, which could be a huge cost to get started on all these containers, the idea is that we'll find the funding, of course, to begin with, to build the first ones and put them on. And they will only be paying us for when they need to pinpoint their containers. So it's a win-win for them as well. And in the long run, we'll also be making more money because each tracker could be used many times, and it will bring more profit in the long run. It's kind of the Rolls-Royce idea, or what all the big companies are doing right now. Going from selling an airplane engine to selling the hours that the airplane engine is being used, for example, in Rolls-Royce. Yeah, so what are the competitors on the market? Well, right now, there is like the most implementations are using
10 seconds left.
Ah, okay. 4G or RFID, or some are looking into normal GPS. But as I said before, our system is we can be made much smaller, cheaper, more energy efficient, and can also be used on small packages for sending normal.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks for a nice pitch. And questions from the jury? Yeah, Niels?
Just to clarify, so because I was thinking about you building a logistics solution on that. So your basic product is the pinpoint sensor.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The GPS system, you could say, that's on the container, the hardware. Yeah.
And because there's been tons of sort of IoT-like projects on sort of equipping containers with various solutions for tracking a logistics system. But so basically, you're trying to build another one which has the advantages that you just listed, right?
Exactly, that the competitors don't have.
So just one question, maybe I'm asking a stupid question. So how does the tracker know that this is now that it should emit something, or is it activated from the satellite?
Yeah, it's kind of like you could say like your TV at home. It's on standby, right? Yeah. Instead of being on all the time, which the normal GPS trackers would be like on, and it's like sending all the time. You're like, yeah, okay.
Thank you. Was that a hand?
Yeah, it was a bit of a hand. I think so. On like customer conversations, because I think that I'm on the route that there are quite a lot of different solutions, and there are a lot of people looking into it. And what is the dialogue, like customer-wise? Have you had any? I'm not asking for the word traction because it's been 9 days, but I'm actually asking for the word traction. Like what's happened commercially? Is there anybody want to buy this? It feels like it's a bit of a complicated start to get going.
Well, we already talked with, for example, there's another Danish startup who's already working with Maersk on, as you said, the IoT solutions, who's called Unomundo, and we called them up and said, so they are basically providing the software behind and the connectivity, so they're not doing hardware at all. And we called them up and said, so how would this fit with what you're already working with together with Maersk? And they were very interested in. So we're actually setting up a meeting with them next week. And so they are very interested in putting this last puzzle or piece of the puzzle into that system.
Yeah. Thank you. Alexander?
Yeah, I was just wondering, so of course you landed on containers due to token as input, but I was just thinking, have you been exploring other fields where, pinpointing lost stuff might be nice?
Yeah, there's a lot of potential in this because we just started out with the, as I said in the beginning, with the shipping of containers. So basically, we want to start out there because it's easier to implement, of course. And then later on, there's a huge market in more like for DHL or PostNord. So if, for example, you're sending a personal package or ordering it at a web shop, and there's a lot of those packages that get lost or stolen or magically disappears, right? Which is a huge problem for like PostNord or DHL, because not only are they losing the package, but they also need to find out what happened or where did it go. Or if you put these on all the small packages as well, you'll be able to spot, okay, where did the package actually go?
I have a lost tennis sock. Maybe you can help me out.
Yeah, we can basically put it on anything.
Okay, Niels.
I have a question that might blossom into two. One is what's the price tag of this sensor?
That's a good question. But they're actually we can make them pretty cheap because the technology is so small. So it's just a small like antenna with a.
So it's substantially less than a normal GPS.
Yes, very much, because the normal, and that's also one of the problems right now, because the normal GPS, it's quite expensive. I think the lowest you can get is something like 500 kronas on Alibaba or something like that,
I was
right?
just thinking that you keep talking about packages and containers and stuff, but there's tons of, let's say, micro-mobility and all sorts of units that we need tracking. And right now, as I understand it, they use active GPS units, and everything you can do to bring down costs everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the biggest problem on those GPS right now, is that they're just draining the battery. So you need a bigger battery pack, and of course that's more expensive as well. And so so this way you can really bring down the price.
Okay, thank you. Claudia, if you have any questions, you just put up your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have one. Yes, take it away.
How easy is it for you to implement this technology? I can imagine there are hundreds of containers. So just want to know what's the onus on your customers as well, long term?
Yeah, so as I said, there is a lot of containers, so of course it will take quite some time to implement this, like physically go and put it on the containers, right? But for example, what we were thinking about on the container level is that, I mean, the containers are anyway mostly on the ship for a long time. It could be like a month before it comes from China to Denmark or something. So there'll be a lot of time there where you could actually go and put them on. So it will probably be like a slower implementation that we need to do.
Thank you. Hampus?
As a technologist and computer scientist, I'm always falling in love with great solutions, but I also, after like too many years with both startups and children, I would love to hear, like, have you tried anything like a really shitty solution? Like, have you tried, like, because containers are big, have you tried just the stupid idea of, like, you know, painting a barcode on top of a container? And like, not you, but Mask. It's like, this is a big thing. You track from space.
Yeah,
like, exactly. I want like a QR code on top of my container.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that idea for the, like, when we were brainstorming as well, that would actually also be possible to make like a huge QR code on there. But you have a problem with when it's, for example, on the ship, it's stacked above
but then
all
you
the
can track
others.
it. You have satellites, so that you know where it was stacked.
Yeah, but you know there can be something in the way of that, right?
No, but I mean, it's like you would say at harbor it was stacked here. And then you just, like, I mean, tracking things that you can't see, that's what you do when you're driving in a tunnel with a car. It's like the reckoning. You just, like, that was the last position, then continue guessing that it's still on land. And shit.
Yeah, but then you would need, all the time to track these, right, with the satellite as well.
There's a lot of satellite imagery.
Yeah, but of course on the container level, something like that might be possible, but then you cannot scale it down, right? Then you have a problem with, unless you can, make it.
We have one question from Niels and then Alexander afterwards. Yes.
Maybe because I don't know enough about this, but is that reverse GPS tracking sensor, is that relatively unique? Is there some IP that's actually of interest here? Or?
Well, DTU Space started out with actually building their whole system themselves, like with their own technology on the GPS tracker and the satellite and mast and everything, and that was actually supposed to be like patented and everything. So right now it's not patented, though.
But it could be.
But it could be, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. But we're still, of course, working on the technology, so it's.
Thank you, Alexander.
Yeah, I think you have 1 minute left, maybe. So these lovely guys.
We have 2.5.
2.5.
Oh, okay.
I was just thinking, these lovely guys could you maybe explain a bit more on kind of background and team.
Who we are? Yeah. I can start. I'm Ole, as I said. So I have a background in astrophysics and Earth and space physics and engineering, also from DTU. And I worked on the NASA Perseverance mission for the last 3.5 years now, actually, with building hardware, software, testing, calibration, and a lot of things. So, so I have a good network and, of course, some good experience from that as well. So,
yeah, my name is Jes, as you can see, and I'm a mechatronics engineer from Sønderborg. So I have a lot of technical background in developing products.
My name is Julian. I'm studying for my bachelor in general engineering and going in the direction of future energy.
which is quite important for customers.
Yes, my name is Nikolai. I'm also a mechatronics engineer. I like the combination between hardware, software, and the electronics that make it all tick. So integrating systems.
Yeah, so as you can see, we are very much technology guys, and so we are missing the business person. So if any of you want to...
What about Per?
Find a job. Yeah, sorry, Per. You see her?
I'm just listening in.
Okay. Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So Peter is also...
I'm Thompson, and I've been working with satellite instrumentation for 25 years as system engineer and project manager, and I've been working with these GNSS receivers and precision positioning for the past 5 years or so.
Thank you. We have time for one short question, one short answer. Or if you're fine, then we move on.
Well, just, I mean, because I think it's digging into some of the questions here. It sounds like you have a really interesting technology, but are still looking for a really interesting starting market. And I would suggest that you look broadly, because the shipping industry may be huge and there's an interesting topic there, but it's also a really difficult industry.
Yeah, definitely.
And there might be other opportunities that are much closer.
Exactly, but that's also why right now we're in contact with Onomundo, and they are already in this mass growth. So, that would be the easy way in if we are just, the last piece of the puzzle there, and they just say, go for it. But you're right, otherwise.
Find a good biz dev person.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thanks
yes.
for the advice, and thank you so much, Pinpoint. Give them a hand. Whoa, what a good start. We are on a roll. And while the next team get ready, I just want to do a short brain break with you guys, because I want to make sure that we have the full attention of all of you all the time for all the pitches. And as you know, space is infinite. So I want you to draw the infinite sign, you know, the lazy 8 lying down in the air. So if you put your fingers like this, approximately 20 to 30 centimeters between, then you have to draw an 8 going up with your fingers. So can you do like this? Oh, you're doing good. You're doing good. Yeah, I heard you should be able to do this to become an astronaut. And then we try again, but this time we go down instead. It should be a little bit harder. I'm not going to be an astronaut. So, okay, and now the hardest one. You can do that. Usually I don't do this in other educational institutions, but I know I'm at DTU, so here it's possible. So you take one finger up and the other one down. So can you? All right. So you're doing good, yeah. All right, so our next group here is Expanse. Give them a hand. Expanse.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabor, and here at Expanse, we love challenges. Maybe some of you are familiar with this type of challenge. So how would you find a needle in this haystack? With a gigantic magnet. And this problem is kind of similar what the mining industry faces when they are looking for new deposits in the middle of nowhere, except they don't have a magnet. They go there and try to guess and try their luck if there is an ideal area to dig deep and develop a mine. But in this case, we are the magnet. So just imagine you go there and start digging, you are guessing, it takes a lot of time, up to 2 years. It requires physical presence. People go there in harsh conditions without any infrastructure. And in addition, there are these areas which are getting more and more and more difficult to access because we are getting out of minerals on Earth. However, if we use satellite-based mapping of these minerals, we can reduce the time of the prospecting significantly from 2 years to 2 months. It doesn't require any physical presence. In addition, it also makes the remote areas accessible. So we reduce time and save cost for the mining companies. The market right now starts with the mining company, 700 billion business. Obviously, that's not the whole what we are targeting, but the exploration itself is 10 billion. And what's happening at these 2 years when they're mapping the resources, that's a $2 billion business. And I don't know if you see that tiny rectangle, the corner, that's the amount what happens with satellite imagery. And the competitors, what we have here, are mainly focusing, providing remote sensing data in a broad spectrum. One of them, Earth.AI, is focusing on mineral exploration. However, they also do surveys on the ground. But we would like to focus crystal clear on the data quality and the analysis part of the data. And that's where we see our edge in this market. We already contacted 34 potential partners, and 11 of them showed interest. And some of them were willing to partner up and already investigate this idea further. The mining industry is pretty conservative, so you need to go in the market in a cautious way. So we don't want to innovate that much at the beginning. So providing direct sales, what they get used to in forms of reports, just the technology is changing. So at the beginning, we would like to gain their trust, showing that what we do is really working, and they can compare to the existing reports and make sure that this is really the thing, what they need. After that, we can go for higher quality paid data and provide even better reports, and eventually venture in the hardware development phase, where we can develop our own instruments, putting on spacecrafts, doing targeted observation, and later developing our own satellites, focusing on specific areas where it is really necessary for our clients. At the beginning, as I mentioned, when we are trying to prove that this is really a thing, what can be useful, we would like to rely on soft funding. But once we enter the hardware development phase, we see higher risks, but we also need higher investment in order to explore that area. So who is on board? We have Daniel here, who has background in mechatronics and also hardware development. We have Carlos, who is a software engineer, but also have extensive network in the space industry. And myself has a civil engineering background and also some experience in business operation. So once we established this technology here on Earth, we are ready to turn our satellites towards space and make this vision a reality. So thank you.
Thank you. Ambus.
You didn't talk about tech products, like use a specific spectrum, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. That's a spectrometry. What can penetrate?
From who?
First, as I mentioned, we can rely on free data from the Copernicus satellite family. But later on, we see that there is an instrument called GeoEye, a satellite, and also the WorldView number 3. And these are the most capable devices to track minerals.
Passive imagery, SAR, like what kind of spectrum are you buying? Like what are you just like buying pictures of planet Earth and looking where like people dug 1,000 years ago?
No. In order to identify specific minerals, you need specific bands and type of spectrums combined together. Yeah. And that's for what you need also software and also knowledge, what kind of minerals you're looking into. Plus, you also need to take into account that there are like atmospheric disturbances, and there are also these kind of instruments on those satellites which can refract and eliminate this destruction.
But are you buying raw data, or are you buying like what? Like that's what I'm after.
Yeah.
Like
First, we buy raw data,
okay.
And we would like to develop the knowledge inside the company, okay. And that's as an added value.
Thank you, Niels.
So the data, Hampus has deeper knowledge, but just to expand on this, so the data that you need is actually already available, or would you need a new generation of satellites to actually dig deeper than just observing what has already been done?
It is already available, a basic kind of data. However, the technology is always improving, and in that way, you can see deeper and deeper into Earth and areas what you haven't seen before. And our strategy is eventually developing highly specialized instruments and satellites which can focus on this specific area. Because right now you can rent these satellites for various reasons, and they are circling around Earth, but not focusing on minor prospecting, but also lots of different reasons. And what we see is that in the mining field, if you have a satellite, for example, let's say in the Nordics or South Africa, which can focus on specifically the areas what the industry really needs, that could be a value.
Alexander?
Yeah, nice presentation, thank you. It seems like you've been doing a lot of customer surveys and customer talks. Can you maybe elaborate a bit on who is, you said somebody was ready to go further, and what your findings are from talking to the customers?
Yes, so we had two main groups of consulting companies that are relatively big, that have a very strong R&D and innovation programs, and they are already starting to explore this type of technology to be used in the mining industry, but they have not found the correct partner yet to work with this technology, right? So they were really on board on continuing and further discussing this technology with us and continue maybe the research in the future. We also contacted the different, a bit smaller exploration mining companies all around the world, Australia, Canada, London as well, they have the base there. And a lot of them, as you said, like 11 more or less, they are high interest on providing or using this technology to improve their prospecting phase and reduce the time and cost. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Claudia, do you have any questions or no? You're fine. All right. Hampus?
Similar question as agriculture. Product versus bespoke. Is this like you're meeting a prospecting company or even a mining company and saying, hey, how do you want the data loaded? Or are you building a product? Like where are you on the spectrum between completely bespoke and professional service and internal technology towards like software as a service kind of licensing? Where are you on the spectrum?
Mm-hmm. We imagine ourselves focusing on data analysis and put up a report at the very beginning to the company, what they specify, what they need, what type of minerals, in which area, and then, yeah, basically that's as a first phase. Not a consulting business, more like focusing on data analysis and then put it on.
So we see more ourselves as a service, right? So we approach the companies, and as he mentioned before, there is 2 years of exploration they have to take on, right? And that takes a lot of time and resources, specifically because now the main areas that need to be explored further for minerals are, for example, the Arctic or Greenland. And it's really expensive to bring that people and their equipment up there, right? So what we are providing is the service for them to keep maintaining their business, but reducing the time from 2 years to up to 2-3 months, right? So they can still do their work, but in a very much easier and cost-effective way.
Yeah, but it sounds rather bespoke. I mean, I don't see that there's no judgment in professional services consulting. What I mean is that you're going to talk to one company and say, like, we're looking for cobalt in Antarctica. And you're like, okay, let's look at cobalt. You're going to buy the data set for that geo, then you're going to work with it a bit, back and forth. You're going to buy other satellite imagery, other spectrums, and you get back to them. Can we limit Antarctica a bit? And then after a while, they're like, here's the report. These are regions I would start with. Please now pay us. And maybe they paid us half in front, maybe half afterwards, or like some structure. But it's not that you're like $150 per day. Click the button and then.
No,
exactly. So it's bespoke. It's really professional services.
Exactly. I mean, for me, it's obvious. If I have a client, then I have a continuous contact and iteration across the process.
Yeah, no, of course. I just wanted to hear.
Okay.
We have even explored the idea with some customers that offered as the advice of saying that we don't have to only focus on the prospecting phase, but we can also help them in the future when the mining process has already started in open pit mines, for example, to help them analyze the productivity, the quantity, and some other factors that they can use.
Yes. Part of our purpose is to establish long-term relationships with our customers, which is also a great value that we can provide. So as Daniel was saying, during this prospecting phase with the potential customers, we realized that they are not only interested in what we can tell them about the prospecting and the mapping of the resources in certain area, but they are also very interested in following up the operations of the mine using the same tools, which is like an extension and upsell of a product.
Thank you. Alexander?
I was just thinking some mining knowledge or mining experience in the team, or are you seeking that from elsewhere?
Data mining or
or both?
Yeah. Tricky one. Yeah.
Since I have a civil engineering background, I know the basics in geology and also the GPS system, but that's very basic. So obviously we were going to need a know-how, and we believe that we can find partners either at BTU or around space incubator programs who can provide us the first nudge, get the knowledge, maybe onboard them if they are interested to join us, and then take that further.
Thank you. Other questions? No? So, something you want to add? A final word, or are you?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, all
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your attention.
And the timing is perfect because now it's time for a break, 15 minutes. So if we meet again, 15 minutes past 11, then we're all good. Er det, som I gerne vil have det? Eller? Welcome back. I don't know how you're feeling. I'm feeling really good. I think we had a great start, some great pitches, great jury. I don't know where the jury is. Hopefully, they left. Yeah. They already invested all their money now, so they left. Nothing more to do. Okay, before we get ready for the next team, I want you as an audience to get ready as well. And I've always been wondering what it's like to give a high five in space. And you know, we are in Corona time, so we cannot touch each other, but I imagine, I don't know if it's like this at all, but I imagine you have to do things in slow motion because gravity is weird. No, it's
I've not been to space.
Okay. So can I please ask you to stand up? Okay. And then I want you to not do a physical high five, because in reality you would have like something in between your uniform or gloves or whatever, but just signaling in the air that you are giving high fives. But do it like you are in space, in slow motion. So I will count to 3 and you will go like, and give high fives in different directions. Okay, if you don't like this, you think it's really stupid, don't do it. Look like this and look really angry instead. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Whoa. Yeah. I don't know if you actually have to do things like this before you go to space. For real, do you know something about that in Mars? If you want to go to Mars, do you have? Yeah. Okay, of course. All right, so we have our next pitch team up here, which is Verisat Carbon. Give them a hand.
All right, guys. Hi. Thank you for being here this morning. I'm Charlotte, and we're Verisat Carbon. Our dream is to drive impact through an open carbon markets by allowing anybody with land and trees to participate. All right. So I want to ask you a question, and I'm not going to talk about climate change, but how many people have kids or would want to have kids? It's quite a few. Well, what type of world do you want your kids to grow up in? Is it a world where the nature is thriving and it's a nice place to live? Or is it a world where you have to wear a face mask in the city just because the emissions are so bad? Is it a world where you can go outside and play? Or a world where a giraffe is a stuffed animal instead of a real thing? So meet Ramesh. Ramesh is my friend who lives in Nepal. This is his family. He owns land. He's interested in planting trees and is very environmentally conscious. The average income in Nepal is 560 euros a month. It's not much. Meet my family. My family also has land, can plant trees. My sister has a farm. They're also environmentally conscious, and they want to make the right choices with the products they purchase as well. So here's the Verisat Carbon platform. People like Ramesh can go on and sell the carbon offsets that their trees are producing, and anybody who is interested in buying an offset can then go and purchase that offset there, whether it be an individual, a government, or a private sector organization. So how it works now, and let's put this in a little context. So this is kind of how the voluntary carbon market is. We have NGOs, alternative energy projects, cook stoves, but I want to open this up to anybody with land and trees. Polluters, they want to have a good CSR image. They can buy these offsets, as can governments, the 170 companies and 77 countries that have pledged carbon neutrality by 2050. They can go here. So how does it work on the tech side? So Ramesh goes onto our platform and signs up. He verifies that he owns the land, and then we do a satellite verification of his land and the trees that are there. He can go and plant new trees. He always owns the land, he always owns the trees, and then we re-verify iteratively with satellites, AI, and blockchain-based verification for that geographical area, so there's no duplication in our market. We then go and sell the carbon credits, and the money will go to people like Ramesh or my sister who are doing the tree replanting. So, guys, I know you've been thinking, where is the money in trees? So the carbon offset market is only expanding. It's 0.6 billion as of last year, but S&P estimates that by 2050 it will be 200 billion. That's a lot of money. This isn't even touching the compliance markets, which are 44 billion, and the emissions markets, which are 214 billion. Ooh. All right. My clicker is being a little touchy. But anyway, so we've done some calculations. And at a 10% transaction fee, it will take 1,000 hectares of land in our basket that will be reforested. And the landowner in a tropical area will make about 190 euros annually. It's quite a lot of money for people like Ramesh or some of my friends in Colombia or around the world that live in tropical places. So who are we? Who is the team? So I'm Charlotte. I traveled around the world for 7 years after having a career in lobbying in Washington. I've been freelancing for the Economist Intelligence Unit in public-private partnerships and migration, and I currently work at a fintech startup. Christina is a CBS graduate doing business developing and marketing. Andres, data analyst, satellites. Gintz, engineer process, amazing. And then we have Nicholas, who put together that website in an afternoon. Here we are. And thank you. If you would like to go to the Verisat Carbon webpage, you can go ahead and scan our QR code. It is live, and let us know that you're interested. But we can't do it alone, so what is the ask? We would like to be able to develop this platform, and that's where you guys come in. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Nils. Okay, I have to say one thing, because some people told me it can be a little bit hard to listen at the back. So maybe if you can speak a little bit louder, and also if you remember that your sound should go all the way to the end, okay? It's a little bit awkward because you're close, but just to make a good experience for everyone. Sorry, Nils.
Okay, so I'll speak up a little louder. I'm generally sort of a skeptic of this CO2 offset market, because I think it's sort of a mechanism so that sinners can actually get, it's like in the Catholic Church, you can just pay your way out of sinning. But maybe this is what you have to do. But so if you can explain to me, this Ramesh, so the other purposes he could use his land for, would they bring him more money than this? So, for example, one of the challenges in many developing countries is that you'll have forestry, you'll have, mining of tropical trees for our nice garden furniture, and other purposes that you don't really like that may bring more money to him than carbon offsets. Could you elaborate on whether this is an attractive proposition for him?
Yeah, of course. So there's a couple ways to go about this. So we never own the land or trees. So he could plant a cash crop there, a tree that could produce something of agricultural value on that land as well, and then it's a double benefit for him. The carbon that was offset by that, it will be a different calculation, and maybe not 190, but he will still get some money just for planting those trees. There's also a lot of places that I've been around the world. Urbanization is a thing. So people are not staying and working on their farms anymore. They're going to the cities for other opportunities. So a lot of these small-scale landowners and small-scale farms, they've kind of lost interest, and they're looking for income in another place.
Maybe to elaborate a little bit on it's just a patch to cover up extra emissions. Well, it also prevents natural disasters, and it also helps with reforestation of deforested areas. So in a sense, it does help reduce the CO2 by offering more offsets to businesses, but at the same time kind of restores these areas that have been destroyed in the past as well.
Maybe you could also add that, as we told in the beginning, the offsets are bought now by people, average people, regular people who want themselves, but also the companies that they buy things from, to not only go under their allowances, but actually go down to zero. So that's actually why we do this, and why there is this market, and it's growing because people are afraid of the future. They want a future for their kids. And it's not something we make up. Companies do this now. They buy from their allowance down to zero for CSR reason, but a good reason, because their customers are actually, they want this. So they're not just, like you said, buying in the Catholic Church for something that they did. They are also buying further down to zero, because it being, they are.
Yeah,
Go
ahead, yes.
No, I can't. I was just thinking, so it's a two-sided market platform, right? You need to reach both sides. I was just thinking, how do you thinking of going around this, both on like reaching Nepal? I guess it's difficult.
So Nepal, I've been there 6 times. I ran a small NGO after the earthquake, so I have a quite broad reach in Nepal. For all sorts of like compliance and regulatory reasons, I think it is easier with our sellers, the providers of carbon to the platform, to stick in one geographic region at first. But I've also been talking with other eco-farms around the world, and it's been about 6 different countries. I've had people who were interested in getting involved on this platform. The other side is finding a firm, a company that would want to maybe sponsor this as one of their primary CSR projects early on, before we're able to scale. And find more buyers, and it's just the industry norm.
The problem is you have to make sure people don't burn the trees afterwards. So if people plant trees and then make cross-laminated timber houses of it, it's fucking amazing. If people burn them down to make livestock production in, it doesn't fucking matter.
No.
It doesn't matter at all, because then all the carbon we bound in that tree is now out again, and then all the credits you do should be void, and you should pay them back.
That's why we have the satellite.
Yeah, but then how do you make sure that they don't use it to burn them? Because what do you do if I buy credit and somebody plants them in Nepal and we're all happy, and then Bolsonaro comes in and says we want livestock, and then they slash and burn it, and then what should I get my money back? And I don't care about my money.
Well, I was thinking to do sort of like a basket of all of the credits that we have. So if this guy slashes and burns it, he automatically stops getting money the next time that satellite comes around.
Yeah. Also, there are regulations in place that require you to own the trees for a certain period of time, as well as there are coming, the insurance companies are coming with specific insurances for these type of ventures, where there might be an accident, a lightning strike that burns the forest down, but that would be reimbursed to, let's say, the company who buys from us, from the insurance. As well, like Charlotte mentioned, the people that are the sellers are need to comply with certain points that state you need to own a forest of that size for at least 100 years, or of that size for at least 40 years.
Yeah.
But we're actually happy that you asked this question, because this is what we're trying to solve. The market was broken because there was a lot of scandals. Now we're trying to make it transparent with satellites, so we verify that it's there, that it stays there. We have an open register so others can check if that land has been double counted. So we're trying to fix that, exactly that, and that's the business case.
Because it is a mess.
Nori, Reforest, I mean, there are so many companies doing this, and the problem is really that they can't protect the forest long term. I mean, Nori does soil.
Yeah.
So it's different. But I think that's one of the headaches of this market, is like it's actually nicer if we would create a way that we would actually bind carbon, so that we would say
for example, like now I'm not saying you should pivot to a cross-laminated timber company, but if you be the company who say, grow trees, we'll buy the trees, we're going to build houses for the trees.
But they don't get any more money when the trees are gone. We can verify that with the satellite, and then it's a subscription. They get that annually for absorbing, but also keeping that CO2. And that's why they get paid. And if they don't have that those trees anymore, we can see it on our satellite image, and it's out.
I mean, to the comment of intelligences, it's way better with negative emissions than with carbon credits on stupid cap and trade markets, where it's like, yeah, we're just trading bullshit between each other. So I'm just trying to figure out how you kind of verify, and also additionality. I mean, these people might have a forest otherwise, and now they're being paid with. Like IKEA has these massive forestry projects that they don't want to put like on the market, because it's like, I mean, come on, why would they make extra money for them having forest for their supply chain? It's like you create like weird markets incentives for people just.
But I think additionality is one of these things that we would eventually like to get rid of altogether. Yeah. And by being able to do a more accurate measurement of carbon that's already there, and just on the land in general, or maybe even go to the voluntary markets or create our own market, because additionality to me is the thing that doesn't make sense in all of this. It's like giving the kid who got a 12 and a 2, and then saying, now you can only function off of who improves the most. No, exactly. And so this is something I would really like to change.
Okay,
and I think we can do that. With
we have another 2 minutes, so maybe we should also move if there are other areas of interest. And I don't know, Claudia, do you have any? No. I can tell you it gets a little heated in here, so I don't know what the impact is on global warming, though.
The reason the thing is, I don't get pissed off when people have bad ideas. I get pissed off when people have a good idea and they're almost fucking there. That's when I get pissed off, because you're so fucking close to doing something extraordinarily good, and I get pissed off because it feels like you're 3 degrees from target. And that's like the thing I'm digging at. Like, how do you move this so that it becomes like one of those things that people would, like, and it's, people shouldn't do this out of guilt. People should do it because they want to bind soil. People should, like, because they want to move their farm to organic, and they need, chestnut trees and other things. Like, this is what you need. You need, like, a market where people want to do it, and this is just an extra benefit.
Yeah, and that's a great feedback. It also maybe kind of sparks an idea that we could do a product lifecycle management, where we say, if you roll in with us, the product your product is trees, and their life cycle should be regulated in this way to provide the max benefit for you and for the community around you.
Okay, we have one more, and thank you for being pissed off in a nice way.
Yeah, right. Take it.
Maybe I don't really understand the additionality argument, because I'm not into this. You can explain that to me later. But is it an idea to basically differentiate on what kinds of trees you grow, so that I don't just grow trees? Because if I grow palm oil palms, then I'd probably give you less than if you actually do grow trees that matter long term, or provide produce that I can eat or whatever. I mean, have you considered differentiating that?
It's in the formula. Yeah, you'll get paid depending on how much CO2 it absorbs, and that. Yes, and that
and we can measure that.
Yeah, those calculations have already been done scientifically, so that we know how much absorption comes from each type. And density, all of those things we can see from the satellite.
We definitely want to put biodiversity and such things into this formula.
But you can build in incentives, and we've thought about doing smart contracts as well, that it needs to comply to a certain level of biodiversity and things.
Okay, thank you. Time is up. So thank you so much. All right. Yeah, maybe we can get our next team ready, which is a PV side. I don't know if I got it right. We just need a shift here because we want to make a Hollywood entrance. So I was told that we have to make sure everything is ready and we can put on the smoke machine. I don't know what impact that has on the carbon emission, or if any at all. Okay. Are we ready? Are you ready? Oh, you're ready. Oh, you're there. Okay, so let's give them a hand. PV side!
Hello all. We are PV Site, and we find the best location for solar harvesting. And we already have 2 customers that we are negotiating pilot projects with, and with them we'll co-create this solution further. Now you all know that the climate is changing, and with it the usage of renewable energy is increasing with it. And if you can see here, you can see that the usage of large solar farm is actually increasing the most. In fact, it is approximated that the usage of large solar farm will increase by 50% within the next 3 years in Europe alone. These 50% corresponds to approximately 1,500 new big solar farms. Now, these 1,500 new big solar farms has to be placed somewhere where you can get the maximum efficiency. This is where our customers' problem lies. Our customers, large energy companies wanting to build many big solar farms of 200 hectares, they buy as many as 5 times the amount of sites to hedge the risk of a site not being good enough for them and for their high standards. And for each site, they spend approximately 3 years of feasibility studies. Yes, you heard me correctly, 3 years for feasibility studies in order to find which site is best. Those 3 years they spend on looking for solar irradiance, and they look on the ground and the elevation. They also look manually in the ground. They look at the ground scattering. They even look in the atmosphere for dust and aerosols and a lot of stuff. They also look for the risk of flooding and other natural hazards. All this manually for 3 years where they're making no money. This also ends up costing them approximately 3 million euros to do. Introducing PV Site. With our solution, we utilize the powerful insight gained from historical satellite data. We also combine that with a new satellite launched last year, making this possible, as well as a lot of other complementary data, and also a lot of advanced forecasting models. Combining all of this using advanced artificial intelligence, we can give our customers not only a clear, but more importantly, a fast answer and evaluation of where and which site they should use. They don't need to look at all these 34 different parameters. We at PV Site do. They only need to look at a single score for each site, clearly stated in our inspection report. If the score is high, it's a good place to place your solar farm. If the score is low, you shouldn't place it. There's also a lot of advanced analysis down there they can look at if they choose to. We approximate that we can take these 3 years and get it down to 1 year. So how do we make money? Well, we take 30,000 euro per site inspection. Now, there is approximately 5,000 sites being inspected every year in Europe alone, giving us a market in Europe every year for 150 million euros. And after we've targeted this and acquired this, there's also branching out to maintenance for these customers. So why should you bet on us? Well, because we can get this done. We have a strong team. We have Niklas over here. He's from CBS and has been working a lot in the industry with business and strategy, with product management and funding. He has a lot of knowledge in the startup environment, having made some himself. We also have Martin. Martin is from Design and Innovation, has done a lot of marketing and sales. He's been doing UX and design and done a lot of market research. He too has made a startup before. And then we have Eigil over here. Eigil is our algorithmic genius, and he's specialized in satellite data and the usage of artificial intelligence to analyze it. And then we have me, much similar to Eigil. I'm specialized in satellite data, but more on the physics side of understanding it. What can we physically say about the Earth from satellites? And by combining all of our strengths, we can not only get this done, we can also get it out there. We ask you to join us on our journey to making renewable energy more profitable. We are PV Site. Thank you.
Nice pitch. I love your shirts.
Thank you.
Family. Yeah. All right, guys. Panel questions. Yeah. Hampus?
How much is this a product, and how much is it bespoke per customer? Yeah. Is it like, are you working with a PV installer to figure out what they want, or are you like, is it a SaaS platform? You know, where are you on the spectrum?
We start out with reports, so we sell these, we're trying to focus on some kind of minimal viable product. So in the beginning it would be definitely some sort of report. And we've been working with Green Energy, talking with
European Energy.
Yeah, and European Energy, who has these issues. What was the rest of the question?
They look for many of the same things. It might vary depending on the countries. There might be some specific local policies, of course, that need to be taken into consideration, but otherwise it's some of the same benchmarking metrics they have.
But you're going to go customer first, customers, figure out what these ones for this site in Turkey, you're going to figure out for them, whip it up, serve it, and then you're going to go back and figure out how you can do that again slightly faster? Or are you going to build the product first, and then you have like a machine that they can click and they get reports? Leading question, sorry.
Customer. Yeah, we focus on the customer first because we need to know how much of this we can actually also solve with satellite data and how much it will save their time. But from our initial talks with them, it seems that there's actually a lot of it that we could solve because they're not using it at all at the moment. Yeah.
Alexander?
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe you could do back testing as well on all the sites, right? And what they just to prove the engine towards what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I was just wondering how far along are you with the product and development, and when are you ready for first customer?
First, a minimal viable product, not the final one, could be ready within 3 months to our customers. To one of them, like in a pilot project.
Sorry, what do you need?
What we need?
Why can't you just do the customer now?
Well, we need to make the minimal viable product. It takes a bit of time, and then we can.
But what if you're doing a report for them?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just Wizard of Oz prototyping. You're like, yeah, we have a product, and then everything's like, no. Or do you need to build a product?
No, but as we're working with the customers, that will take 3 months in order to figure out what they want and how we build it. So it's not like we will work from day one, but 3 months for the first product to build.
For the delivery.
Exactly.
So you can start with customers today.
Yeah. Basically.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Claudia, do you have any questions?
I guess less of a comment, less of a question, but more of a comment. Have you thought, instead of going customer approach first, by maybe contacting different government agencies? I know, for example, that the likes of Australia are really looking, the Australian government are looking for solutions like this.
I guess our main concern with government focus is the speed, that it will be slow to implement in terms of the business. So, but there's definitely a possibility there. But I think a more viable approach for us would be to focus on some private companies, and then, I mean, if we can prove it there, there's probably a lot of governments who would be interested. And then we also have some approval. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, Niels?
Maybe just an idea. I don't know if it's relevant, but is it possible to turn it around so that you basically could analyze a given region for potential really interesting sites, and then have a marketplace where you can then bid on good sites because you have the intelligence instead of investigating something that's already suggested to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're investigating different directions also the product can go, and some of the things that have also been set as more the regional maps that could be really interesting to look into. And then, of course, it's a good idea for the business model for that product. But if we go into this area and do this, then we can expand to other things that they actually need as well.
Thank you. More questions, inquiries?
Competition? No. It's like, who is like, with not the stupid who walk around on the ground competition, but like, is there other people doing it with drones, radar, LiDAR, SAR?
There's a lot of competition in another solar segment focusing on residential and commercial plants that are smaller and so on. So they're focusing on properties that you build solar on. But very few are done in a utility scale, actually. So that's actually the area we're tapping into.
Yeah, that's good. So what's the difference? What's the difference between the little gadget you use to figure out your own output versus this?
Yeah, most of it is maybe the Swedish Otovo or something like that. They do it on houses, so you can tap in an address and then you can see.
But I mean, product-wise, product-wise, what's the big difference? What is like? Would you have another tech stack than Otovo would have?
Yeah, because if you need to build such a big site, you really want to know that it will stay. It's a good place to place something for 20 or 30 years.
And not only for solar input, you mean, but also for like other aspects.
Yeah, soil. It's like soil quality and like how much bearing can it take, and how much has it kind of subsided during the last 5 years or something. How much is it flooded? Stuff like that. It's very interesting to know.
They want to be very precise about it. I mean, one of the companies we talked to, it was actually on the CFO level. It was actually him who thought it was really interesting because they know if they can cut 1 year off and start making money there, it does a lot to them.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other things?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Customer traction?
Yeah, we've been contacting some, but 2 we're having additional meetings with.
And what's the conversation? How does that go?
It goes really well. So we are going to meet them probably in 2 weeks or so. and with more on the engineering side of things. But they have interested, and they also had said that they have money for us to actually buy more of the commercial data that we need, pictures and so on.
But the customers are ones that today install solar. So their problem is they're just as prospecting for minerals. These people are prospecting for solar already, and you're just being a component in their arsenal. But you could go and say, hey, IKEA, Coca-Cola, Salesforce, whoever, who wants to kind of offset your emissions. The best thing is actually not offsetting. The best way is probably reducing. Shift out of what your ugly coal and go to solar. Where should you plan your solar in Canada? Well, not Canada. Sorry. But so that is a potential. Have you talked to anyone of those?
Not in that group yet. We know some of the companies that does it for like smaller companies. If you have a production facility and you want to on your ground install solar on it, and that didn't seem to fit there. So, but we haven't talked about the big companies that want like the utility scale, but maybe just for a company perspective. That's something we need to look into.
We have one question here. Can you say who you are, please?
It seems to me you develop a lot of software and use a lot of data, but only apply to one little niche, solar cells. Have you considered other applications?
Yeah, other markets. Yeah, I mean, it would be a natural extension for us to go into onshore wind energy afterwards. Or one of the customers, they both do solar and wind. So that would be, they also have some of the same attributes they look for, but with variety. We think solar is where we can start and make an impact now. And later on, I think in the future, you can also tap more into any kind of bigger land infrastructure projects that you are doing.
Oh, please don't. Build an amazing solar company, buy land, and sell it, build a fintech company. Don't go to other things. Have one tech product and then multiple sales. This is amazing, but don't mess it up.
We also talked about the vertical innovation and looking for sites before the companies are even asking for it, and then selling the actual sites.
Or selling the land.
Or selling the land.
Like literally build a fund on the side that buys property and then build these and sells energy. I mean, there are just so many good things in solar. So don't go like branch off and figure out pipes for oil companies. Which every fucking satellite company does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some good advice.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Do you have anything you want to add as a final word?
Thanks for the feedback. It's nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much to So while we prepare the next pitch, I want to do a little brain break with you guys again to make sure we get your full attention for all the pitches. So this is a tricky one as well. So you have to lift your right foot from the ground. Can you do that? It's a bit difficult. I have to do like this. All right. And then imagine your foot is orbiting clockwise around the moon. So you make a circle. Yeah. You keep doing that. Fairly simple, right? Yeah, you're doing a good job. Well done. Well done. Okay. Stop. And then you take your right hand in the air like this, and then you draw an 8 in the air like this. Can you do that? Okay. Cool. You're doing good. You're doing good. So now stop that. So now we're trying to do both things at the same time. And the trick here is to see if you can keep orbiting in the same direction while you're drawing the 8 in the air. Can you do that? It should be more or less impossible, right? Yeah. For some reason, the brain is not hardwired for do things like that. I mean, it could be useful, so why not? Anyway, now we are ready for the next pitch, which is ESA monitoring. So let's give them a hand. Yeah, ESA monitoring.
So good morning, everyone, and thanks for being here. My name is Monica. We are ESA Monitoring, and we want to help you find your safe house for the days after tomorrow. I want to talk to you about Bea. She's a real customer case. Bea wanted to find the house of her dreams. She spent 6 months looking for the perfect house. When she moved into this house, the house got flooded, even though she spent 3,000 euros in agencies that were providing her advice. but she didn't get any information about the risk of flooding or other risks. We want to help Bea make better decisions by providing her reports on this kind of risks. So when engineers or guys at DTU Space look at these satellite images, they will probably make a very good analysis of them. But when Bea look at this kind of images, the best she can say is, oh, they are colorful, they are bright, beautiful, but I don't understand anything. We want to integrate this kind of information in a platform that Bea can understand. So we want to differentiate our product by providing information on risk of flooding and risk of subsidence. But this platform can also include different parameters that people normally look when they are moving somewhere, like internet connectivity, the weather of the area, or noisy level in the area. So the line of our product consists on taking satellite data, analyze it, process it, and create personalized reports, depending on the area you are to look for a house. We will provide with this information to Bea, and she will be able to make better decisions. Our business model consists in a business-to-customer model. We've been doing some pricing calculation in which for our product, and we see that in Southern Europe, 2.5 million of houses are purchases every year. We want to focus in that market at the beginning, because we see that with 1% penetration in the market, we will reach benefits of 4.5 million per year. So, of course, for us it's a challenge to get to people to know us, and we've been investigating different strategies. We will need to spend money in online marketing, of course, but we've been also in conversations with insurance companies and real estate agencies, which gave very good feedback to our product, but we need to investigate possible partnerships with those to reach people. So our competitive advantage relies in that we want to integrate predictive data with a user-friendly environment that everyone can understand. Right now, the institution ahead on predictive analysis and processing of this kind of data are entities like ESA, but they don't give an understandable information for people like Bea. And right now there is a platform covering data in Denmark, which is user-friendly, DinGeo, but this data is a little bit behind in predictive analysis for risk assessment. So to develop our product, we will need, of course, initial investment, around 250K. We want to launch the product for the Southwest Europe by June 2021. And then our plan is to cover the whole Europe, and of course our dream to go globally for giving this information to also developing countries. Our team is formed by 4 people with very different backgrounds. We are 2 engineers, Miguel and me. We have expertise in satellite data processing and data analysis. We have Mateus, our user experience guide. He's also expert in human-robot interaction. And our business guy, Roman, he's expert in sales, business, and entrepreneurship. So if you want to find your safe house for the future days of tomorrow, please contact us.
Thank you so much. So, questions from the jury? Ambos?
So is the customer that you will interface with, the user customer, not the main customer necessarily, is that like a person buying real estate, or is it a consumer buying their own house? Is it a real estate person? Is it a seller of houses? Like, where in the chain? Is this a company? Is this an individual? What I'm after is how complex is the report and how easy it is to need to be?
I mean, I think like our primary customer would be the end user buying property. So like private buying property. But of course it can be also used in other direction, for example by broker. Yeah. So you are about to buy a house and you go to broker and he can get this report and help you to make the right decision. And for example, they can see that there is some risk and then help you to, get the price down. Or
and what risks are we saying that I would get in this report?
Like flooding, ground deformation, radon, noise, pollution. But like our expertise is in flooding predictions and ground deformation.
Yes.
I think, mean, for the normal consumer,
sorry, you have to speak louder. Someone told me.
For the normal consumer, I think this would be a great proposition when you buy a house. It's just relatively rare that you buy a house, right? So and for the real estate agent, I'm not really sure that they actually they want this because they're just in the business of selling houses regardless of the property. Insurance, yes. But getting back to the consumer, is there a way that you could sort of make this a service? Because the problem, if you just have this frequency of once every 10 years you buy a house, then you have a difficulty, having service that you're interested in. So is there a way that you could look at this as something that you'd actually return to, both for insurance reasons, but maybe also just for, let's say, as a normal consumer of interest? So is my area changing, for example? Is there more pollution, or am I at higher risk of flooding? Yearly report or something like this. Have you thought about that?
I think if I can answer, for example, if you are in the middle of Copenhagen, there is a quite high risk that the ground would deformate. But let's say that you are living near the coast, and then we can provide some subscription and monitor just your location, and if there would be any changes, we can notify you, and then we can provide this with some kind of subscription or so you would pay regularly to get your ground checked for risks like that.
Because otherwise, once you acquire a customer, you'll never see that customer again for 10 years, right? So
when I was in conversation with some people, when we were talking with them about the product, there were a couple of people that they were really telling us that for them would be very good to receive this kind of updates from time to time and get a subscription.
Can you elaborate a bit on that? Your customer kind of interviews and traction-wise, how far are you? Have you sold a handheld product to somebody?
Of course, our customer is a bit complicated because it's people. We've been reaching many people, and they say that it's a very affordable price for the money you invest in a house. That's probably for your whole life. We receive a very good feedback for quite a lot of people.
From private buyers.
Yeah.
And we have also been in touch in insurance companies, which they could use our data into just like the raw data, not like some kind of report, but just the data and put them into their models and then work with them in a way to reduce costs for them.
I think consumer angle is probably the best thing, because I think for the big insurers there's plenty of flood analysis, and most of them actually ignore it. And these are cases in the US when they are you allowed to look into the flooding data because the real estate company don't want you to, and they try to get the mayor out of the picture, kind of fucked up stuff. But I think that one thing I'd be curious is what's the price for you to actually do this analysis? Because the thing I'm after is could you create an offering which would be almost like you would do a very swift, simple thing. So you could do a badge on a real estate page. For example, I would download a Chrome plugin. Whenever I look at, the real estate pages and look at broker pages, I get a 3-star rating, thumbs up, thumbs down, question mark, whatever. And then now, and it's free, and now I click in and say, I want to buy this report. Why isn't a question mark in this house? And then I'll have to pay. But then you have to have such a low price to figure out this, because you can't do that if it costs $500 per house.
No.
I think the idea is that we would first cover the area, let's say Spain, and it takes some time to process all the data, but once we have it, we can start selling it. And then reaching the market, we calculate it with some price for a report, but of course it comes with a cost. The market, it's quite high. So if we would, let's say, make some basic layer of information for free, we could reduce the cost. Well, it's just transfer the cost from direct marketing to this free level, and then it would be easier for us to spread the word. And
but let's say, I think that how expensive is to map a small region? Because mapping Spain is pretty crazy. But if you just say, let's do Miami, Malaga, places where there's different kind of risks, and people. I don't think that central mid-mountaineering Spain is people are I wonder if there's going to be floods. But I think that, for example, Miami, it's you're pretty stupid if you don't check flood reports and buy houses in Miami.
But the idea is to develop the platform in a way that this data process is ready.
But how expensive is it to just do Miami coastline? Is it would it cost you $100,000, $10,000?
The data is for free.
Yeah. So
the software is open source. We want to play with this card. It will take time for us to analyze and process, but money-wise, it will require money on servers on the web page.
That's no cost.
Yeah.
Like the data is for free, but just very raw package of data,
Yeah,
which we would have to.
And I think Microsoft, Google, Amazon will give you free servers for like 6 months to do this.
So external cost is almost zero.
Yeah. But I mean, if I can return to your question, like marketing-wise, we thought that it would be quite hard just to target, like, let's say, Miami coast. So that's why we thought that we would maybe add other features, because we had some feedback that people want to know the quality of water, like connection, you know, crime rate and stuff like that. So it could be like product not only for buyers of houses on coast, but also like, you know, somewhere else.
No, I think just like the way I do it, like I would do, maybe not Miami, I don't know where the worst is in Spain or Italy or whatever, but I would just like do, so you can like free Chrome plugin or whatever, I can just see like, you know, a 3-star rating, and then I click and say report, and then now I'm going to buy a house in outskirts of Madrid. I just say, why isn't there a report? I say, oh, there isn't one, you want to go buy it? We'll fetch the data for you and figure it out. Because I think that you want like the Miami Star, I don't know the local newspaper, to write, ho, check this thing. And that's like how everybody in Miami knows about it, and then that's how it spreads. But then the price needs to be so low that you can kind of do 12 cities in the world without like bothering.
And the only ones really interested in this are the consumers.
Yeah, everyone else.
Everyone else has a vested interest in not having.
We know that. So let's see if there are other kinds of questions. Claudia, do you have anything you know? So you're not planning to buy a house and you'd like
to sell.
Okay, all right, so do you have other things you'd like to explore? We have 2 minutes left, a little bit less.
Why this journey? Why embark on this?
Well, I will say I always think about, I don't know, I want to help people with the technology I know. So I think it's a
good cause.
It's a humble way of helping people buy a nice house.
And safe.
And they are quite shy, but they have really great knowledge in this field. Monica is working for the biggest accelerator in the world, in Switzerland. So, and we like it. We want to help people buying the right houses, because I've been through this journey, and it's in Denmark it's all covered, but in like other countries it's quite difficult to get like relevant information about what are the risks. And like the consumer protection in Denmark, it's like, you know, it would be quite difficult to scam you, but in other countries it's like there's significant risk, and you are buying one's house, usually only once.
Is there data in Denmark?
We know.
So if I want to buy a house in Denmark, I can get like radon,
some of the
like flooding risk, droughts, Wi-Fi coverage.
But also what we will offer also is a predictive analysis. So right now the flooding looks like this, but how it will look in 5 years, 10 years, that's what we also will.
I like this though, right? It's a model that works in Denmark. You're trying to broaden it to Europe because the data is there, but nobody really did the analysis.
Exactly.
Another thing that we focus quite a lot on in Denmark is the energy brand, how efficient the houses are. Is that possible to do from satellite right now? So you can actually pinpoint houses and see their emissions?
Like we have the infrared signal, but
you cannot get the information from the satellites, but you can maybe look databases and just put it on.
You can only see like the roof, which.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. All right, so nice pictures. I like it. We have one more to go, and I want again to make sure we get your full attention. So while you guys are getting ready over there, I think we should use the opportunity for so many smart people in the room to share some nice knowledge. So I want all of you to think of one space movie you've seen once that you like to recommend to someone else. For example, many years ago, I saw a really stupid one called Space Nerds with Mel Brooks. I don't know if it's still worth seeing, but at that time I thought it was really funny. So go explore that one. So think of one recommendation. Okay. And then one more. What is the worst space monster you ever seen? I kind of think Jabba the Hutt, he was pretty ugly, right? But there might be other space monsters we should explore. Okay. So now please stand up, and then just because it's nice to stand up when we're sitting down for a long time, and just share your information with the people around you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I see some people are impersonating the monster they're talking about. I like that. So, one movie we should see. What could that be? One recommendation? Space movie?
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element, yeah, that's a nice one. And nice music as well. Yeah. Worst space monster?
Nils really doesn't like Jar Jar Binks. So.
Jar Jar Binks, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you should have him like here in the panel. I mean, then everyone would be scared for the pictures, you know, Jabba the Hutt, Jar Jar Binks, and someone else. Okay, but you're nice guys, so that's super cool. Okay, so now time for the final pitch, which is, I don't know how to say it. Enforcer! Give them a hand.
Ready? Hello, my name is Johan, and we are Enforcer. So what we want to do is to create the next generation of protective gear using sustainable space-age material. So the one we've chosen is aerogel. And it's something that was developed by NASA. It was used in a lot of the missions, so collecting the comet dust, installation in the spacesuits, the rovers. So it's something that we... Click. It's something as a material that we really like, because it's very versatile. It has a lot of different properties. It's very, very light. It's very strong. It can do the ballistic protection as well as the heat insulation. And depending on what type you're using, it's even more versatile. So then we thought, this is a super cool material, how can we use it, which areas? And then we started looking at the different ones, and we selected sports because it's a very large area, and in particular the protective gear because we wanted to explore the ballistic capabilities of the aerogel. And then narrowing it down further, we chose ice hockey because it's a very expensive gear, so we can leverage that and use the more expensive materials to provide this protection. It's also something that's very widespread. It's mostly in North America, but it's also pretty popular in Europe, specifically in Scandinavia. It's growing popularity. And why now? Well, it's a tricky material to produce, but actually recently it's become commercially viable. So this is why. So as you can see in the picture, the armor is very bulky, it's very heavy, it's very uncomfortable, and as a result, for someone who's needing to move a lot, to be agile and fast, it's getting in the way, so it's impeding their performance. We talked to a bunch of different ice hockey players, some juniors, some older, amateurs and pros, and one of the pros we talked to, Christian, he said that there was definitely room for improving the equipment. So then we move on to the cure, our solution. We're proposing to use the aerogel, and we put it into the equipment. Specifically, we're looking to start with the shin guards, and with the knee protection as well. And we believe we can make the product 4 times lighter, 8 times stronger, and transparent as well, so it's not so smelly after. So imagine we have this minor league player. This is Johnny here. He's wanting to really do his best. So he's coming to us. He's getting this equipment from Enforcer, and then he's playing the game. There's a scout watching, like, oh wow, this guy, he can really move. He's really good. And then he gets the contract. He moves to the big leagues. He's now an NHL player. So we're allowing them to play at their best. So moving on to the business side, it's going to be B2B. So we will be creating the product and then selling it to some of the larger equipment suppliers. So the production costs, we believe we can get them down to around 20, like roughly a quarter. And then usually when you're giving it to a bigger supplier, with the distribution and everything, they're taking a large chunk, so that's why they're taking almost half. And then we're getting the remaining profit, which is around like 25, 26%, which is still enough to keep us sustainable. The model we're going for is the one-time payment, it's upfront, and we'll be looking into grants as well for prototype development and having this product. So the go-to-market strategy, we've talked to some partners for supplying the materials. So we have NASA, Aerogel, Technologies, and some others, and we're putting them together as Enforcer. Then we have the prototype. We're testing it with local hockey clubs. So Kentuft, for example, we spoke to get the testing. And then our customer is BIC. It's Warrior, it's CCM, these large suppliers of large equipment companies. They're well known, so we can leverage that as well. And then from there, they can then supply the players, who are the end users. And we're looking at the elite players, the top leagues. And these are like the early adopters as well. So, click. Thank you. And back. Okay, so the market is very large. It's around 250 million US dollars in the North America region. And that's, of course, US and Canada. So that's our main kind of end goal. We're launching in Europe just to get the testing and the products sorted. So then the roadmap, right now we are looking into getting the prototype out, testing it with the local clubs. Then we launch the products. We expand our product line as well, so it's not just the shin pads, but like the pants, the shoulder pads, the helmet, everything. We can then start the talks with NHL once we have the established equipment and the quality. And then we can expand into neighboring markets as well. There's the American football, there's the combat sports, there's the snow equipment as well. These are also other markets we can tackle, as well as actually defense. So the body vest, the bulletproof vests, this is another $2 billion industry per year. So this is our team. We're very diverse with our backgrounds. We have people in the sales side, we have the technology with the materials and engineering, we have the innovation and customer centricity. And we are Enforcer, and we're using space to keep you safe. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Nils. So, you don't have the rights to aerogel, right? That's aerogel technologies.
Yep.
I understand. Okay. So what is it that allows you to exist in principle, and not just BIC using aerogel for their products? For example, I mean, because I would assume if it's a no-brainer that aerogel is great for doing shin pads, why wouldn't BIC use that material themselves?
This specific aerogel material we are investigating in is fairly new. NASA only released, only got the patent a few years ago, 2016, if I'm correct. And it has only been used for construction, insulation, because that's the most outstanding property of aerogel. It's low thermal conductivity. So as per now, it looks like no one has thought about implementing it for protection gear in sports. There is a patent in China for a specific type of bulletproof vest, but since it's a fairly new material, it looks like no one has looked into this application yet.
So basically your idea is to try to protect that use.
Yes, we were looking into
IP,
patenting.
so that you would then be the ones holding that idea and then selling that on to BIC.
Yes.
And the likes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alexander, yeah. I was just wondering why B2B and why not, direct to consumer and do.
That could be our strategy down the line, but at least like we start with prototyping the product. That's the very first stage, filing the patent so that we have the rights. Then slowly and gradually taking on to the markets, and initially we'll start with B2B, and slowly if we see the market acceptance, definitely we'll go towards, that will be our vision to have our own brand.
It's very hard to launch a brand like we're nobodies, and if we're piggybacking off some of the largest companies, they already have, they have the trust of the players. So if I want to go to the gym, I'll go to Under Armour or like one of these large brands. This way.
Yeah, I would like to add to it because I was also speaking to hockey players on different like stages. And most of them, when they say, it's always like when a child starts to play or become a professional player until they're like adult age, it's always parents who buy the stuff. Actually, and also supporting because it's not anymore the best player game, but it's actually the wealthy player game. So it's usually parents who like invest a lot of money. But when they become like juniors and like on professional level, then it's sponsorships going already. So it's also like when I've been asking like what's the most determining factor for you to choose a gear, it's always like either like looking at the sponsorships, whatever the teams are supported, but also like what like the idol is wearing, what kind of type of protective gear.
Yes.
I'd like to tag onto that. I truly think that the B2B route is going to be difficult for you guys. Because just to have a patent and some ideas and then trying to push that into the industry may be possible, but on the other hand, if you get a really strong sponsor in the hockey world, I don't know, Wayne Gretzky, or it's just one name that comes to mind because I'm old, but there's probably others. And if you get a person like that interested in creating some super cool gear, why not create your own brand? Because that's a value and not necessarily just being a tech supplier to other parts of the value chain. Just an idea.
You don't want to add something to that?
Okay.
Take notes.
Yes.
Good
No,
idea.
so
okay. Yes. Other comments? Questions? Yeah.
I was just thinking that maybe your competencies as a team. So can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. So my background is in I can or yes. Yes. So my background is in physics and also in entrepreneurship. So I think the kind of like generalist of like knowing for the science and also like who to ask for the science and also the business side too.
Okay, I'm Chiara. My background is in aerospace engineering with a strong focus on material technologies. So that would be my insight on the team.
My name is Gideon, and I'm a master's student in service management, so customers and end users.
And I'm Aditi, and I'm a management and strategic consultant with 20 years of experience in the corporates. So I'll keep the team grounded.
Okay. Do you have other inquiries, questions? No? Yeah, Claudia?
I believe it was back in 2008, there was a Speedo swimming costume that also used space materials that ended up being banned from the Olympics. How are you going to, just because it made some athletes a lot faster and not all athletes could get access to them due to sponsorship rights, so how are you going to avoid this happening with your material?
So I'll take it. So at that time, it might be because of the reachability of that product to various players. Here we are seeing the price point to be very competitive with the rest of the market players because now it is commercially available. It's a revolutionary material recently available. So as long as it is equally available to everybody, such sports association should not have a problem.
Okay, you look satisfied? Yeah? Good. So, I think we're done. You want to add something? Final word?
Thank you for your attention and for your feedback. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Whoa, this was all the pitches, and I loved it. It was amazing. But now we're going to have a break, but not you, the jury, because you're going to decide who is going to win the prizes. I hope you make good decisions. As we say in space, no pressure. So, you can find a lot of funny stuff on the internet. What?
You have a longer list? A longer list of bad jokes.
Yeah. No, this was the final one. I hope so. Then there's my own ones. They're even worse. So, okay. We have 15 minutes for that, and we are like 5 minutes delayed. So if you can be back here like 12:35, right? And what will the rest of us do meanwhile? In the break?
Get some fresh air and rain.
Fresh air and rain. Okay. So see you soon.
Are we going to sit here? What's the plan?
You're going to follow me upstairs?
Yeah.
Mira, har du mulighet til å trykke når vi skal ta bilde av alle, så trykker du på den der og bare holder den inn.
Okay, så langt. Giver du mig håndtaget?
Ja.
Er det billeder af alle, eller bare billeder af venner?
Venner, alle som er. Og så skyter vi på den her.
Jeg gør sådan her for mig. Du kan også bare lave et papir.
Er det ikke nemt at bære rundt med, eller?
Jeg forstår det.
Jeg holder klar, ja.
Tak. Jeg har brug for bord at sætte på.
Nå, så er det der.
I'm going to do all my kind of, the whole thing I'm going to do. No, I won't. That's not Corona safe. Okay.
Are we ready? All right. Are you excited?
Yeah.
So as we announced 12 days ago, this was a program which tried to put an emphasis on creativity. So the first award we will present is to the most creative startup. Woo! Woo! So Søren, our creative friend in Aalborg, has been watching online, and he made this motivation for his choice for the most creative startup, Launchpad 2020. The idea stands out by combining different pains and offer a solution, a common solution, which will benefit Earth with a better climate. Congratulations. Very sad carbon.
Okay.
Third place.
Okay, so I'll give you the motivations for the 3. So it was a hard struggle back up at the booth. Like there's a couple of bruises in some of us. Claudia's happy to be on video. But first of all, I want to say this was amazing. Like you've spent very few days, and I was very, very impressed. I think that you've done super cool things, and this is like a hard area to just crash course in for 9 days and learn things. So truly, I was impressed with what you're thinking about. The first team, who's like number 3 for us, is that we think the team is amazing. We fell in love with the team. We felt like, wow, this is amazing. One of us got very angry that they didn't do other things, and that person is now going to say that we want you to pivot. Please do something else. You're number 3. We love what you do, Mirsad, but please don't. They hit the carbon markets, but not exactly that angle. So.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Great. Team number 2. We had a great conversation about the relevancy of it. One of us was recently in need of this product, but we figured out by governmental data. And we think that the consumer angle is really what we love, because there are a lot of people doing in insurance, and we think EXO is doing something that's really relevant and sadly becoming more relevant. So number 2, EXO. Beef up with finding good consumer people.
Yes.
Okay, number 3, and this was a struggle. So like, don't feel number 2, number 3. You shouldn't feel like number 1 is so superior. But number 1, you're still number 1, right? So, alrighty, this is extremely needed. We see it's like super exciting in the market. We think that there's amazing commercial traction, but we're also saying that you need to think about how to scale quickly. We think you should start by working closely with customers and being bespoke consultancy. But if you don't move from that very quickly to product, you'll be outcompeted. Because this is a market where it's early, but everybody will need to go there. So PV, please come up
Cool.
That's it. Final words?
Let's go home. Let's go. Now it's put it in the wallet.
You need final words, right?
I would like to do an intervention.
Okay.
Which is nice.
It's not impact, actually.
All right, everybody. So, great job. Congratulations to the winners. 2 times winner. Marissa. Guys. So, congratulations to the winners and congratulations to the other teams as well. You did a great job. So, I can almost say we are proud of you, but we are actually. So, you accomplished a lot during 12 days. And this award ceremony concludes your journey in the Launchpad program, but hopefully it doesn't conclude your journey as a startup. And that's why ESA Denmark is here to support you further along that journey. So with those words, Kai has promised an intervention, and you never know what to expect when it comes from Kai. So I hope it's something positive, and I guess yeah, I don't have any more things to say, so take it away.
Yes. Yeah, please.
Sorry.
No, please.
Quickly. The smoke ruined everything.
I'd just like to have the 3 winners on stage again. But not for any smoke or any, but just like a portrait where I can see all of you.
Cool. Can we do that in approximately 2 minutes?
Yes.
Cool. Nice. Can I have an assistant to click the computer? Which is not you. Which is not a Launchpad person. Yes. I think briefly introducing. This has been a lovely journey, and thanks for taking us onto this sort of journey. And I think this is just a brief thank you for the energy and the time and the resources that you as organizers have been putting into organizing this. And as a thank you, the most natural thing to do is to make memes. So, inspired by your approaches to some of the feedback you have given us, I've made memes. Please be assured that this comes from a good place and a weird good place, but it's meant as something heartwarming, and I appreciate and we all appreciate your effort put into this. So thank you for that. Yeah. And just before starting to go through the images, I'm just gonna put one piece of advice that I've gotten over and over again forward, and that is don't take yourself so seriously, and I hope that I can try to make you do that by showing you these pictures. So whenever you recognize yourself on the screen, please come here, and I have something for you, which is a big surprise. Yes? Yeah. And last but not least, this is all where it came from.
Thank you so much. And now for the dessert outside.
Picture.